You're watching Drake Wing Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, Never here from Drake Wing Gaming, and 70 miles toward the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at another Let's Play episode of Solstice Eve. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm chain, you were up, and let's go. Fantastic. See you then. For now, I've got some rookies to clobber into shape. Oh my, I thought your clobbering days were behind you. Nope, clobberings are a necessity when it comes to whipping people into shape. So, is it a tough love thing, or are you just bloodthirsty when it comes to training your men? Hey, it's neither. I give them leeway, yeah? But if you don't put all into training, you're not gonna get anything out of it. Well, that aside, thanks for agreeing to help. It means a lot. Oh, it's nothing. I'm glad to be of use. With that, I bid Darwin goodbye and go back to the guild. Day 3, 50 days until the Solstice Festival. I'm in the ballroom again. There's no need to move or to look for Shell's ghost. I already know she'll find me soon. Sitting down cross-legged, I simply wait. No point in expending any effort. Hello, Cantor. Shell. When I open my eyes, she's sitting in front of me. So, are you really going to do this? Well, I've dragged Darwin into it already. Ah, yes, it's wonderful he's so amenable to your absurd requests, given how you ruined things back in the clinging camber. He's a good person. What a shame that he's gotten involved with you, then. But Laurent and Vera aren't so nice. Do you really think Shell's lover and her closest friend would want to take the time out of their days to talk to you? If it's about Shell, then they'd at least listen, I hope. Besides, I doubt doing so can make them think any worse of me. Well, you never know. The case is closed already. You're dredging up remains that have long since been buried. So why is it that you care now? I can't let this sit anymore. The longer I try, the worse I feel. Another day, another morning wasted doing meaningless work that I forget about soon after. After so long overseeing the guild's finances, it all feels utterly meaningless, especially when compared to my current investigations. I'm not planning on testing Vera's patience yet, which means that the first thing to do is to talk to Laurent Lambert. Shell's lover of 15 or so years, perhaps more. Me and Shell had somewhat of a mutual agreement to, beyond being obligated to share living space, not get in the way of each other's private lives. Naturally, I've withstood no shortage of incredulous stares and dismissive comments as a result of their relationship. Unsavory types wondering how it allowed my wife to become so brazenly unfaithful. It's all horseshit. They know damn well that my marriage was a sham from the get-go. And though they rarely dared to say it, I'm sure they knew of what I do with other men in private. It's all unnecessary posturing, just like it was back home in Antalis. At the very least, Laurent isn't the type to partake in that ritual that seems to infest such classy spaces. Rather, my interactions with him have all been distant, as though he was looking right past me the whole time. At most, he made some backhanded comments towards me, but nothing I didn't deserve. Ooh! Oh goodness, that carbonation will get you. Though I have to wonder if what I'm about to do might push even that aspect of him to get a clearer reaction out of him. I already know where to find him at this time of day. The Mage Guild's observatory is quite the oddity. From the view of the stars, one might assume that it's in the middle of the night, but it is in fact only noon. It's an utterly pointless bit of magic that's been cast on the glass dome covering the observatory, one that allows you to view the sky as though it was night regardless of the weather or time of day, amplifying the light from the stars along the way. Such frivolity tends to arise either from the whims of the nobility or from local religions ascribing meaning where none could otherwise be found. In this case, it's the latter. I've never understood the Vitgorians' obsession with the stars and their belief in them being the source of all life, but I know better than to question it out loud. During the day, however, the presence of any worshippers is scant, doubly so during lunchtime, as the artificial starry night doesn't offer much in the way of actual light, making eating any food here a nigh impossible task. To be frank, being here gives me the creeps. Somewhat. Oh. Cantor. Yeah! Motherfucker! Yeah. Yeah. Did I really make that noise? Sorry, didn't mean to startle you. Why are you here? I thought you didn't like the observatory. I don't. It's a fine enough place. I came here because I wanted to talk about Shell. I can barely make out his expression through the dark, but it doesn't seem like he's got much of a reaction to it. Is that so? Yeah, Why the change of heart? Yeah, it's odd, isn't it? I want to make amends, and I've been looking into stuff. It was spurred on by some conversations about it. Made me wonder if there might have been more to her death since it was... Yeah. Sorry, I probably shouldn't just suddenly hit you with this talk. It's uncouth. Huh, it's fine. You were technically her husband. Alright, then. My point is that, well... You remember how, when Shell was first found, she was holding her wand? I grabbed it from Shell's room and ran it through some tests in the wand lab, and, well, something odd's clearly happened to it. There were very few traces of mana on it, which isn't normal for a wand of that the quality that hers was. And those that were found were used to cast a magic circle that seemed, well, like absolute gibberish. No other readings besides the circle, like it was brand new, and that was the only spell that was ever casted onto it. I fiddle around in my robe, looking for the piece of paper I copied it to. Mind if I turn on the light for a bit? Should be fine. I pull out my wand and channel some mana through its core in order to make it glow. This is what it looked like. Lawrence studies the paper as I hold it up next to the light. Yeah, sorry, don't know anything about this. She didn't actually like talking about magic all that much with me. Thinking you. Oh, yeah. Other than her puppetry, of course, but this doesn't look like that. Is that so? Yeah, she said she had her fill of the ordinary stuff. I didn't know that. Still, this is odd. I'm more of an astrologer than a mage, so I'm not as well versed as someone like Vera might be in magic circles, but this certainly isn't normal. The stars weren't particularly auspicious today, so I wondered what surprise would come. Guess this is it. I just let that slide without commenting on it. Was Shell doing something that might have put her at risk? I know it sounds absurd, but I don't know. It's highly unlikely that her wand's core would just suddenly act like this without someone else tampering with it. The odd circumstances of her death could be chalked up to coincidence, but when combined with this, I have to believe that there's something here. I see. Lawrence sighs. Ooh, excuse me. You know, you're kind of like Vera. I'm sure she'd have more to say than me. When Shell died, she got caught up in wondering a similar thing. Said the guards didn't put enough effort in investigating the whole affair. Even suspected you for a bit. Don't take it personally or anything, yeah? I know that's not the case, and she knows it as well. Shell's death was just rough on her. As for what you said, I don't know how attentive you were, but over the past few years, Shell has actually been looking into some potentially troublesome stuff. She didn't like talking with me about it, but she had quite a few concerns regarding corruption within the guild. Mostly the relation between the guild and the Keystone Mines. Given the sad state of them these days, you wouldn't expect the guild to support them as much as it does, yeah? Gotta say, I wondered if it was just the drama between her family and the Stoneshears, but... The Stoneshears, a family of dwarves that owns the local Keystone Mines. When the Keystone boom happened decades ago, they profited the most from it, revitalizing their dying coal mines and catapulting them from a low-ranking family to one of the richest in Eisenberg. In opposition, the Strom family has been firmly high class from the city's inception, a fact which has led to friction between the two. I've tried to avoid it in the past, but it's come up every once in a while in formal events I've been forced to attend, such as the guild's anniversary celebrations. Huh. You know how she was. If something bothered her, she was willful and stubborn enough to deal with it herself. Part of me wants to say that I didn't know that, and that she rarely showed off those sides of her to me. Really, though, I know the fault lies with me. I never bothered to look close enough. I should have taken her more seriously back then. Maybe then she'd... I don't know. We both stand there in silence. I don't have the right to say anything. Anyways, You're right. This is odd. You should talk to Vera about it. She doesn't like you much, but I'm sure she'd take this seriously. Doesn't like me much is an understatement. If you find something, I'd like to hear an update, and if you need help of some kind with the investigations, I'm available. Well, could you be the one to talk to Vera instead of me? I have a hard time believing that she'd take the time out of her day to listen to me. You know more about magic than me. Besides, talking things out would be better for both of you. We're meeting up later today, so I could try to butter her up to make her more amicable to talking with you. I guess there's no other choice. Alright, that sounds like a start at least. Part of me still expects her to blow my head off the moment I try to talk to her. She tends to spend her lunch breaks in the garden. You can find her there when you decide to talk to her. We'll see how it goes then. Thanks for the help, Laurent. No problem, man. With that, we bid each other goodbye. Ooh, excuse me. The rest of the day, my mind is clouded with thoughts of Shell and the trial that awaits me. Varys still got a grudge against me. That much was very clear, even during our brief meeting yesterday. This isn't something that just a few words from Laurent can fix. Who's even to say that I can take his words at face value? I don't get any work done today. This whole affair with Shell is quickly taking over my life. I need a distraction, company, relief. Around this time, some of the miners ought to be retiring to the bathhouses in the Silk District, looking for a similar thing. Over time, I've gotten to know some of them quite well. I wonder who I'll spend the night with today. Can you hear me, Cantor? Before I can even turn around, I flinch as I feel a calloused hand place itself on my shoulder. Oh, Darwin! Why the touchy greeting? Well, you weren't responding when I called you, didn't you hear me? Oh, my apologies. Must have been lost in thought. Shell stuff. I was talking to her partner. Darwin furrows his brows. Her lover, the man she was seeing in lieu of me. She was doing that? Was that fine by you? Of course it was. Part of me is disappointed that Darwin is responding like this. I was hoping he'd be more open-minded. I have no interest in women, so I certainly couldn't provide her with what she wanted out of the marriage. It's only natural that she'd seek it out elsewhere. Sorry. Yeah, that makes sense. It isn't conventional is all. Fancying men isn't particularly conventional either, so I'm well past that. True, I suppose I don't spend long enough around men like you. Oh, what does that mean? Men who, well, aren't conventional. I fail to understand what you mean. Explain conventional to me. I hit him with a deadpan glare. Well, go on. The traditional type of man you'd expect to find here. Rugged, strong, grr. Grr? Darwin makes that same growling noise again, elaborating no further. What does that even mean? It's growling. Well, I can growl too. I'm a dragonkin. I let out a growl from deep within my throat. Well, that was a mighty intimidating growl, but not what I meant. So what you meant is that traditional men don't usually take it up the ass. Hearing that, Darwin flushes a shade of pink. Hey, come on, don't, people could overhear you here. Look, it's not some rotting fruit. People here are far more permissive of it than back in Antalis. Besides, we're grown men. It's not something we ought to hide like children. You're overestimating others. Not everyone takes it well. It can come back to bite you in the ass. Of course, I already know that. Perhaps. I suppose I got carried away. That aside, why are you out here? I ought to ask the same of you. I wonder if I should mention that I'm planning on taking a part in lavish and conventional deeds soon. I'll go easy on him. Just out on somewhat of a walk. Had a bad day. Oh, what a shame. I'm actually on a run to the market right now. Need some ingredients to put the finishing touches on the Doveson I'm making. Doveson? This name sounds familiar, like I've heard it in the past, but I'm not quite sure what that is. It's a dwarven stew. There's nothing else like it. Huh, sounds nice. It is. Want to come with and try it? I promise it's good. Sex is good, but home cooking is also nice. The bathhouses can wait. Sure, that sounds good. It takes less effort to eat than it does to have sex, so... Welcome. Sorry for the mess. Darwin's house is far too organized for him to call it a mess. Still, decades of residence have clearly made their mark. The furniture and decorations all stand out, each telling a story of their own. Well, I don't know if it's messy, but it's nice. Makes it feel like it's got history. That's a nice way of putting it. There's something appealing about the non-magical lights. Darwin carries the hunk of venison he bought at the market over to the kitchen area. Meanwhile, I'm holding a loaf of freshly baked bread, which is apparently important for the Doveson. It emanates a comforting warmth. Alrighty, let's bring out the base. This... Darwin turns to rummage in the kitchen's icebox before pulling out a pot with a small layer of red viscous stew at its bottom. Is the Doveson I've been building up for the past month or so. Come again? Ooh, excuse me. How do I explain this? So, Doveson's cooked over a long period of time. The winter months made it hard for the ancient dwarves to gather food, so they always made sure to stow away some of every meal, in case the stars wouldn't bless them with more food the next day. In case they did find more to eat, the leftovers would then be incorporated into that day's dish, only for some of that dish to be stowed away afterwards. Usually the dish would be stew. The ancient dwarves really liked stew. And as the days go by, the stew would gather more and more flavor until it was positively bursting with the stuff from weeks of being built up. At least that's the story Julia told me for the origin of it all. I must admit, it doesn't sound too appealing to me. Sounds interesting. Not just interesting, it's also good. I've been building up my culinary skills over the past 2 years. Watch and be amazed. Alright, y'all, I'm actually going to pause it right there. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon if you can. It always helps. Before I go, I'm going to give a quick shout-out to our lovely bronze tier patrons. Thank y'all for all I do for the channel. We greatly appreciate your support. Thank you to our silver tier patron, Cade, Silver, everything going above and beyond is greatly appreciated. Thanks to our 3 gold tier patrons, Zach, Ziki, Toby, and Blue Wolf Alpha. Y'all are awesome. Thanks for subbing to our ultimate tier. Anyway, if y'all want to get your names in the credits, get access to all of our not safe for work contents as little as $5. And if you don't want to donate to our Patreon, you can always donate using Super Thanks on YouTube. Anyway, I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye!